Hello again, Wired fam. What's going on out there? You guys are doing well. It is time to get going. We're a couple minutes behind, but hey, we're here. We're going to get rolling. I'm excited. Got a lot to talk about tonight. Got some good things to talk about. Hopefully, you guys are looking forward to tonight's show. Hopefully, you guys got some questions, some comments. Do a little interacting with Wired. It is Wednesday, 9:02. Well, probably 9:03 by now. So we're a few minutes behind. A couple things we're going to be doing tonight, talking about tonight. First of all, I'm going to kind of be working a little bit while we're, you know me, I like to multitask. So I'm going to be working a little bit while we're talking. Somewhere around here, I thought maybe I had a rag. I'm going to be kind of cleaning some reels off, spooling some rods for the Fort Loudon tournament this weekend. East Tennessee Crappie Club has got a Fort Loudon tournament this weekend. Fort Loudon Lake here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Going out of Ish Creek. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great event. You guys are fishing it. It looked like rain, but I think they've held off on the rain now. I think it's going to rain Saturday night, but it's not going to rain Saturday. So I think we're good for the tournament. Let's hope it holds. I don't particularly fish in rain. So I'm a fair weather fisherman, guys. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care to fish in the rain on tournament day. But, man, it makes it a whole lot more enjoyable if it's not raining. You know what I'm saying? So everybody say a prayer that it doesn't rain Saturday. We don't need any rain in East Tennessee until Sunday. Sunday's okay. Saturday, no good. No bueno. So, again, a couple things we're going to do tonight. We're going to work on some of these rods, kind of get them. I'm kind of still spooled up for the last Dale Holla tournament. Cherokee and Dale Holla. So I got some rods that are rigged for Cherokee and some rods that are rigged for Dale Holla and some rods that are rigged for our guide trips that we had this last weekend. So had two guide trips last weekend, one on Watts Bar, one on Teleco. Watts Bar fish were a little lethargic, not bad. It was funny because the couple guys that I had on the guide trip bar, they said, hey, our fish app says it's supposed to be like a 23 day. I guess that's a 23 out of 100. They're like, I don't know if we'll catch a whole lot. Well, we caught a good number of fish and caught some big fish too. We caught some pigs. So really good trip. That was Sunday morning. Then had another trip Sunday afternoon on Teleco. Again, supposed to be a 23 day and caught 70. So 70 fish on Teleco. Didn't catch a whole lot of really big fish because Teleco doesn't have a whole lot of big fish in it. It's got fish, but not a whole lot of big fish. So we did catch a good number of eater fish. Really, really good eater fish. I love those 10 to 11.5 inch fish to eat. Caught plenty of those. And then caught a lot of fish in general. So very good day. Caught most of our fish on a stump bug. Most of the fish came on a black and chartreuse stump bug. Bait right there, black and chartreuse stump bug, and also a slick neon stump bug, I believe it was. Slick neon stump bug, which I don't have tied on right now. Black and chartreuse stump bug were the two colors that were best. And then on Watts Bar, that mini slim stick right there, that Moon Dust mini slim, okay, 1.75 inches is what they hit on Watts Bar. So good baits, good trips, happy clients, happy guide, all is well, right? So a lot of fun. Fish are starting to kind of get in that winter pattern. Not really there yet. It just hasn't got cold enough. Water temperatures I still saw around 60 in places, but in other places I did see some cooler temps. But for the most part, those fish are still not full swing in that winter pattern yet. They will get there shortly because we've got cold weather coming. There's cold weather this week, and it shouldn't be long. Those fish will be in that full winter swing, which is what I'm looking forward to because they get so consistent. Summer and winter, they get consistent as all get out. They're so consistent. So, you can go once they hit that winter pattern, you can start fishing that winter pattern and fish it until they start moving up the spawn. I mean, it's consistent every time you go out. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast. I've had a lot of people call me about guide trips. They're like, when should we go? Should we wait till spring? I'm like, heck no. If you can fish in the cold, let's go now because they're consistent. You can catch them one after the other. They're all stacked up. It's a lot of fun. So, again, hadn't really got there yet, but they're getting close. Water temperature needs to go down about another 8 degrees, and they'll probably be in there. Let's see. Who all's on? Don't forget, guys, take advantage of the discount codes right down here in the bottom of the screen. Stowaway Mounts, code's wired. Fishing Specialties, code wired. Save 10%. Bonehead Tackle, Crappie 2023 saves you 15% at Bonehead Tackle. Please take advantage of those, guys. Those are for you all so that you all can save some money on your products, okay? And things that make wired so great, keep me on the water, fishing these tournaments and fishing consistent and fishing clean, fishing all the good things. So take advantage of those discount codes on some great products that are there for you guys. So make sure you take advantage of those when you purchase any of those items, okay? All right, Rex Williams, make sure you drop me a hello when you guys get on. I always like to say hello back, see where you guys are from. Please, please, please drop me a hello. Let me know where you guys are coming in from. Crappie Kev, hello. Danny Phillips, let's roll. Let's go, buddy. Jimmy Pratt, hello, hello. Tom A. from Pennsylvania. Donathan Brown from Lenore City, what's going on? Johnny Coots, good evening from Georgia. James Childress, hello, hello. Paul from Chattanooga. Saudi Daisy, James Williams in the house. Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. Got me some cotton candy stump bugs and slim sticks. They catch fish on Chickamauga. Anything with pink in it catches fish on Chickamauga. Anything. I mean, Chick, they love, love, love pink on Chick. They always have, always will. I love fishing. Actually, before I found Bonehead Jigs, I would use a Hot Lips Bobby Garland. Has everybody seen a Hot Lips Bobby Garland? If you haven't, if you've seen it, you remember it, okay? Hot Lips Bobby Garland is, well, I got some right over here. I'll show them to you. Hot Lips Bobby Garland is all I would use on Chickamauga. Hang on, I'll grab them. If I can get them without falling out of the boat. There they go. Okay. Hot Lips. Pink. Okay. That's all I used to use on Chick. Hot Lips Bobby Garland. I absolutely love pink on Chickamauga. Chickamauga always does well with pink, for sure. Anything pink. Rick Martin, good luck from Central Illinois or Arkansas, excuse me. Sad here, just put the boat up or put the boat to bed for the winter. Well, that stinks. Yeah, you guys, I guess you guys don't get to fish year round. We're lucky, blessed, I guess, here in East Tennessee. We get to fish year round. Our lakes typically don't freeze over. It does get cold, but we get a cold snap or two each year where you don't want to get your boat out. But for the most part, we can fish year round, so we're kind of blessed. Let's see. Eric Anderson, what's going on? Good evening, everyone from Coreyton. Hello, hello. Mr. Curtis Hobbs in the house. Going fishing tomorrow. No late watching for me. All right, Mr. Curtis. That's okay. That's okay. For those of you who don't know who Mr. Curtis is Mr. Lightwire Hooks right here over my shoulder. Mr. Lightwire Hooks, that's Mr. Curtis Hobbs. And actually, as a matter of fact, that was one of the things we were going to show you guys is I got a package from Mr. Curtis, okay? I ordered, again, I think it was like 2,400 jigs or something from him that I ordered. Mr. Curtis got them all made up for us in record time. I'm surprised at how fast he got them done, to be honest with you. But Mr. Curtis hooked us up. They were not expensive. He's got great pricing. Happy to have them. Absolutely love his jigs. I've been using them for over a decade. I mean, I've been ordering from Mr. Curtis for a long, long, long time. And I had a conversation with a gentleman tonight who may or may not be on here. Probably isn't because I believe he's sick. But he was asking me about Mr. Curtis. And he said, Matt, he said, using Mr. Curtis's jigs, he said, when you call an order, he said, what all can you get? And I said, well, really, the sky's the limit with Mr. Curtis. Okay. So, Mr. Lightwire Hooks there, he has got everything. All right. So I like a hard hook. He does light wire hooks. That's his name, but they're not all light wire. Okay. These are a standard shank hook. I always use a standard shank. Mr. Curtis knows that. Those are standard shank, number 4, eagle claw hooks. You can even specify the brand of hook, okay, with Mr. Curtis. So these are eagle claws. I like an eagle claw number 4 because they're just a little smaller than a mustad number 4, just a hair. But these are with the collar, round heads, standard as they come, number 4 hook. Those are 24th ounce. So, again, Mr. Curtis does 32nds, 16ths, 24ths, 64ths. I mean, he does just about anything. He does 3/16ths. He does quarter ounce. He goes, sky's the limit. So, you can specify hook color, head color. I got chartreuse. I got unpainted. I got white in there. I got pink in there. I got red in there. I got, oh, these are some cool ones right here. Look at these. Holographic eyes on those. Check them eyes out. Holographic eyes on them. Some right there. Look at that. Yeah. So anyway, Mr. Curtis does a really good job. Thank you, Mr. Curtis. I appreciate you getting the hooks out to me. These are 32nds, 16ths, and 24ths because I was running low on 32nds, 16ths, and 24ths. So I needed to order some. 32nds, 16ths, and 24ths. What do I use those for? I use those sizes mostly to shoot docks, okay, or fish shallow. So if I'm fishing shallow brush, less than 15 foot of water, if I'm 15 foot deep and the brush comes up to 8, I like to use a 16th because I can get that slow fall and keep that bait in front of the fish. If I'm fishing deeper than 15 foot, I like to use maybe an 1/8 to a 3/16 to a quarter. If I'm fishing deeper than 20, definitely a quarter ounce, no doubt. But Mr. Curtis hooks me up with all those sizes. So thank you, Mr. Curtis. I appreciate the hooks very much, sir. And if you guys are looking for somebody to pour you good hooks at a good price, Mr. Curtis is your man. Mr. Lightwire Hooks right back there. So Mr. Curtis, just so y'all know, him and I have been friends for, like I said, over a decade. Quote, unquote, not an actual sponsor for the channel. I just love his product. I believe in it. I love it. That's why I tell you guys about it, because it's great stuff, okay? That's why I have all his decals laying around all over the place, because I've been with him or been ordering from him for over a decade. So thank you again, Mr. Curtis. I appreciate your friendship, first and foremost, but I also appreciate the good hooks that you've provided me with over the years. So thank you. I appreciate it, buddy. And we're going to move on from the hooks unless anybody has any questions. If you have any questions, let me know. Rainer, hello from Central North Carolina. What's going on? Stuart. Oh, where'd my comments go? There they are. Stuart Ferris from Illinois. What's going on? North Carolina here, and I want to know how to catch a good size crappie on 4-pound for carbon and small jig head with a big plastic lure and a 7-foot medium light rod spinning rod. All right, I'm a little confused. Let's see. I want to know how to catch a good size crappie on 4-pound fluorocarbon, I'm assuming is what that's supposed to be, and a small jig head with a big plastic and a 7-foot medium light rod spinning rod. Okay. Fish where the crappie are. That's how you do that. That's how you do that, Silent Night. No, sounds a lot like 4-pound fluorocarbon, small jig head, and big plastic lure. It kind of sounds like the setup I had down in Dale Hollow, except for I didn't use a big plastic lure. I used a small jig head with a hair jig, but I didn't use a 7-foot medium light spinning rod either. There's a lot of different ways to catch them. You're going to have to be a little more specific for me on that one, because a lot of different ways to catch fish. First and foremost, you have to be fishing where the fish are. Hey, Matt and the Wired Fam from Graysville, Tennessee. What's going on, Joe? Anthony Kent, I'm Matt and the Wired Fam from Norris Lake, Kentucky. What's going on? Good Lord, 2,400 hooks. That would be a couple years supply anyway. Hey, listen, when you have young kids and you try to fish docks and brush with young kids, you go through a lot of hooks. You know what I'm saying? And when you're guiding, you go through even more. All right, so that's all I'm saying. But there is a reason that we ordered that many hooks, and that's because you look in these boxes. This is my 16th and 32nd ounce box, actually. If you look in this box, let's see if I can do this without dumping them all on the floor. Yikes. There's a lot of empty spaces in this box. You know what I mean? So lots and lots of empty spaces. That's all the 16ths and 32nds I had left right there. So, well, with the exception of I have a few packs laying around here and there. But for the most part, I'm almost out of 32nds and 16ths. So, again, when you guide and you have small children, the hooks go pretty quick. And listen, it's like I tell everybody, all my guide trips, all the people I have in my boat, if you're not getting hung, you're not crappie fishing. You got to get down in there in that brush and get them out. All right. A lot of times, because a lot of times, you get that first couple hours where they're sitting around there outside of the brush. But for the most part, when that sun starts coming up, they pull into that brush and they get under those docks, and you got to go get them. You got to get amongst them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you lose jig heads, and I lose a lot of them. So, hey, Braid helps with that. Braid has helped with that a lot. But what's up, Joe Nash in the house? What's going on, man? Ronnie Harris, good evening from Georgia. What's going on, Ronnie? Paul, are you going to be around tomorrow? Need to ask about replacing one of my 93 SV graphs with a 126 SV. Yep, holler at me. Yep, give me a call, Paul. I'll be around. I hope so. I hope I'm around tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I hope I am. I don't know. I got to wake up in the morning first, buddy. But I hope I'm around. Yeah, holler at me. LaRue, what's up? What's up, LaRue? LaRue is in the house tonight. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Tyler Key, I see all the East Tennessee guys on here. Good evening. May try to make it Saturday. Never been on Loudon. Come on, man. Hey, there's a first time for everything. It's like I tell everybody. When I started the club, I had never fished Cherokee. I had never fished Douglas. I had never fished Del Holla. I had never fished Melton Hill. When I started the club, I'd never fished Watts Bar. You believe that? It's God's honest truth. When I started East Tennessee Crappie Club, I had not been on Watts Bar, Melton Hill, Douglas, Cherokee, or Loudon for that matter. I'd never been on them lakes when I started the club. That was a decade ago. Keep in mind, I fished Chick and Tellico. That's where I cut my teeth crappie fishing. Tellico first. I fished Tellico for years before I ever even tried Chick. And then I went down to Chick because I had a buddy that lived down there. And he's like, man, I drive up there all the time. Why don't you drive down here and we'll go fishing on Chickamauga? And I was like, okay, cool. So we went down there and started crappie fishing down there. But, yeah, I mean, you got to get yourself out there, Tyler. You got to put yourself out there. You got to learn. You get better as you go. You get on those lakes. You spend some time on them. You pick stuff up. You listen to the guys at the end of the tournament, tell you where they caught them, how they caught them, and you get better. And we all grow as crappie anglers. And eventually, you get to the point where you can go to any lake in the country, any time of the year, and you can be productive and catch fish. You can find fish. You can catch fish. You can have fun on different bodies of water because you've experienced so many different. That's another thing we're blessed with here in East Tennessee is from Chickamauga to Cherokee, we have every different type of water that you could just about ask for. So Chick is a fairly shallow lake with a lot of grass and a lot of there's some cedar trees. There's some very shallow bays, okay? Shallow docks. You got a lot of shallow water fishing down there. As you move up the chain, as you move up to Tellico and then to Loudon and then to Watts Bar and then to Melton Hill and so on and so forth, Douglas and Cherokee, it gets deeper, okay? Melton Hill is more like a river than it is a lake. There's not a whole lot of lake in Melton Hill. It's just pretty much a river system, okay? So there's your river system fishing. So you got shallow water, you got river system. Then you got your reservoirs, very deep, very clear, very cold reservoirs like Tellico. So now you got deep, cold, clear water. Then you've got Loudon, which is, kind of that mid-range with the dingy water, very fertile, a lot of microplankton, a lot of bait fish, and just off-color water in a lot of areas. So you got that side of it. You kind of got that off-water situation. Then you move up to Douglas and you say, oh, God almighty, it's deep and it's clear and it's deep and it's clear and it's deep and it's just deep. It's just deep. What do? And they drop it 30 feet every year. And then you go to Cherokee and it gets clearer and deeper and they drop it further every year. So, we got a lot of different stuff to experience here in East Tennessee throughout our reservoirs from southern East Tennessee to northern East Tennessee. And it's just a blessing. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And if you can figure out a way to catch fish on all our different reservoirs and lakes here in East Tennessee, you can just about go anywhere in the country and catch fish. You really can. I mean, we're blessed. We very much are blessed. So anyway, but yeah, Tyler, come on. Enough about that. Joe Nichols, Matt, what time of year do you recommend putting out brush piles? Any time of year, buddy. Any time of year. Joel, I will say this, or Joe, excuse me. Joe, I will say this. I typically like putting brush out when we have warmer water temps, because warmer water temps are going to provide growth a little quicker. The algae growth, if you will. Warmer water is going to provide a little bit faster algae growth. You're still going to get algae growth, okay? But it's going to provide that a little quicker in that warmer water, okay? Just like grass. Grass dies off in the winter. And then in the spring, summer, it comes back, and algae blooms and so on and so forth. So if you're looking for structure to hold fish fairly quickly, I would start in the spring and into the summer. The problem with that is there's a lot of people on the lake in the spring and the summer. You know what I'm saying? So they get to see what you're doing, where you're putting stuff out. But, let's be honest about it. I mean, now with the days of LiveScope and the days of side imaging and down imaging, there's not much we can hide anymore, guys. There's really not. I mean, you can put a brush pile out, call me and say, hey, I put brush piles out. And if I know the general area that you typically put them out in, as far as a section of the lake, I can pretty much go find your brush piles. It's pretty easy anymore. LiveScope, these 12-inch screens or bigger, and these 34 transducers, I mean, you can stretch that sorry, hang on a second. You can stretch that transducer on out to 130, 140, 150 feet, and you can see that brush. I mean, you spin that pole around, and you can see that brush 100-something feet away from you. So anyway, I wouldn't too much worry about putting them out in the spring or summer, but that's typically when I would like to put them out, when it's warmer. Chris asks, what's going on, Barry Wallace? Hey, Matt, does Crappie Cove in Maryville have huge amount of crappie jigs and bodies? They do, Barry. They've got a good selection. They've got crappie magnet stuff. They've got bonehead tackle. They've got all the ACC baits. I think they've got Bobby Garlands. I think they've got a good selection. I can't remember everything they have, but they have a very good selection of crappie baits. Yes, they also have hair flies and a bunch of other things too. They've got a lot of light wire hooks in there. Mr. Curtis is a vendor for them, so they've got a lot of light wire hooks in there, different stuff to choose from. So yes, to answer your question, they do have a pretty good selection. Eric Anderson, good question. I haven't heard many people catching crappie on Norris. Wonder why. Okay, let's have a conversation about Norris. We've had this conversation a lot, but let's have this conversation again. So let's talk a little history lesson, just a little history lesson, okay? Not going to go deep into it, but just a little bit. So when TVA started damming the lakes, Norris was the first lake that they dammed up, okay? That was the first lake that was flooded. And when they did that, they cleared a massive amount of timber on Norris or around Norris before they dammed that up, okay? More so than they did other lakes. So there wasn't a whole lot of timber to be had or be left in Norris when it was impounded. Being that it was one of the first lakes that was impounded, okay, another thing that happened or has happened is a lot of that natural structure has deteriorated over time. Norris has a drawdown, and a lot of that timber that was left, the drawdown in that lake, deteriorated. Okay, it was exposed to air and then water and then air and then water, and all at the end of the day, it deteriorated. So, structure that gets put in the lake and stays submerged is going to last longer than structure that is submerged and then they draw the lake down and it's exposed to the air and the elements. It dries out. They sink it, or then they bring the water back up. It waterlogs again. They take the water down. It dries up, and every time that it dries up, it starts to deteriorate. Okay, so Norris, unfortunately, has lost a lot of its natural timber, lost a lot of its natural structure. So there's not a whole lot of structure in Norris. There's a lot of stuff that has blown off bluffs and things of that nature that is in the lake, but it's not in the right depths. There's not a whole lot of structure in the right depths for the fish to be plentiful, for them to reproduce and be abundant. Okay. So, and it's so uber clear. Everything comes out of the clinch is uber clear. Trout waters, man. I mean, that's just clear, and there's not a whole lot of fertility to clear water. Clear water isn't as fertile. It doesn't have those microorganisms and those microplanktons and stuff in it, like say Loudon does. Loudon, most of that's water. But get another conversation for another day. You know what I'm saying? All of Knoxville, Tennessee, somehow drains into Fort Loudon Lake. Every bit of it. Okay. If you see a stormwater sewer somewhere, a lot of that goes into Fort Loudon Lake. It just does, okay? There's a lot of people that live on that lake, and a lot of roof water goes into that lake, and it runs through yards and gets in the lake, and it's just fertile because there's a lot of those organisms in Fort Loudon. But Norris doesn't have that, okay? Another reason Norris doesn't have as many fish is because Norris doesn't have as high of a population that lives on it, okay? There's not as high, say Knoxville, there's not as high of a population that lives on Norris as there is around Fort Loudon or Tellico or Watts Bar or some of these other lakes that a lot of people frequent. A lot of people, yes, a lot of people fish Norris. I'm not saying they don't, but there's not a whole lot of people that are putting structures in that lake. A lot of the reason that is because it's so daggum deep. Where do you put them at? Well, you can't sink something in 60 feet that's only 5 feet tall and think that fish are going to hold on it. They're not. It's just too deep. So, very difficult to put structure back in that lake. Therefore, not the best crappie fishing lake in East Tennessee. There are crappie in that lake. I've been on Norris and I've caught crappie on Norris. But for the most part, people fish for crappie don't frequent Norris that often. Now, the locals do. But again, there's just a lot of things working against that lake, and it's cold, it's deep, it's clear, there's not a whole lot of structure for them. It's just not the best crappie lake in East Tennessee. Okay, that was a long explanation, but I hope that helps. Is there a quick rundown you can give me? I don't do nothing quick, obviously. You know what I'm saying, Rainer? Obviously, you've been a part of this long enough. No, I don't do anything quick. I like nice, full, long explanations on stuff. All right, let's move on about that. Okay. Is there a quick rundown you can give me on where to start with winter crappie fishing? I'm running a powered kayak equipped with LiveScope. Should I be fishing brush, docks, or open water? Sure, absolutely. What lake are you fishing? Chickamauga, docks. Tellico, brush, deep. Loudon, docks. Shouldn't have said that. Those that are fishing Loudon this weekend, have fun with that. Douglas, Cherokee, docks. Okay. So that's kind of my rundown. Did I miss any? Watts Bar, Watts Bar. A little of both on Watts Bar. But Mountain Hill. I still don't know Mountain Hill well enough to tell you. Mountain Hill, it's a river lake. Grass is going to die. Brush on Mountain Hill as well would be what I would go to. There's not a whole lot of docks on Mountain Hill. So you're going to have to find them on brush. Open water could be good on Mountain Hill if you find the right bay. But for the most part, I'd fish brush for sure. But docks are always where I start. Visible structure is where I always start on a lake, no matter what lake I go to. If there's any type of crappie in it, black crappie especially, I'm going to start with visible structure. That would be docks. You know, I mean, they're easy to find. You can look at an avionics map. You can tell which ones have the good depth underneath them, and you can start there. Mike Morrison, most of my buddies snipe open water fish and really don't seek out brush piles. I was having this conversation just the other day with a couple other YouTubers and a couple other people that I know. There's a lot of stuff changing, and there's a lot of changes happening in crappie fishing and in bass fishing. I'm not one for trends, okay? I'm not one to jump on the newest trend, if you will. Seems like the newest trend, unfortunately, is bad-mouthing bass fishing. For those of you that follow fishing, y'all know what I'm talking about. I ain't got to go into details. But it seems like the newest trend is bashing bass fishing. And it's unfortunate because I do see a lot of change, Mike. Your comment kind of plays into a lot of that change. Most of your buddies are sniping open water fish. There are a lot of guys that are sniping open water fish, okay? I'm going to say this, listen, hear me out. A lot of times in East Tennessee, you're not going to find open water fish. You're not going to find fish that are sitting out in open water all year round. There's some of these lakes like Grenada and some of these dirty water lakes, okay? Very dirty. I'm talking like 6 inches visibility, not 6 feet visibility like we have. There's a lot of these lakes that fish stay out in open water. Our lakes here in East Tennessee, you're not going to find open water fish specific times of the year because our waters are clear and those fish just aren't going to sit out there and wait to get eaten by something. It's just not going to happen. They're going to hold tight to structure. Now, structure could be a lot of different things. It could be a rock pile, could be a stump, could be a brush pile, could be a stick, could be a log, could be a dock pole, could be a cable off a dock. I've caught a lot of fish on a cable off a dock. Let me just tell you. If you guys think for 1 second that you can't go to Douglas Lake and fish cables that come off the dock that go 60 feet out into the lake and go down, let me tell you something. You guys are missing out. All right. I have won tournaments off of cables on Douglas Lake. I'm just saying. So, you know, the thing about it is with everything changing and everything going, everybody, again, like you said, going away from brush and going to these open water fish, going to these little individual fish, it is changing a lot. And a lot of the reason people are going away from brush is because, one, now it's just completely overfished. In my opinion, I mean, I love taking guide trips and I love taking people out and letting them catch fish and watching them catch fish and watching them smile and light up. But I do take them to brush piles most of the time. Why? Because they always hold fish. Are they going to be the biggest, most beautiful fish in the lake? Not all the time. Sometimes, but not all the times. So, you know, you're going to get these brush piles that are real thick, big. I just had this conversation with the guide trip I took Saturday. These real big, nice, beautiful brush piles that you go, oh, there it is. That's not where you're going to catch your biggest fish, because that's where you're going to catch your numbers. That's where you're going to catch most fish, because they all pull in there. The smaller fish all pull in there to hide from predatory fish, to hide from something that can eat them. But these other big fish are going to stay out there as loners. But still, here in East Tennessee, they're going to find that little piece of cover. They're going to find that rock or that stump or that stick or that log or that, you know, they're going to find that dock pole or that wire or that something that they can kind of blend in with. They're not necessarily just going to be out in open water. So again, there is a change, there is a shift. And I'll be honest, you know, the tournament fishing world, and I'm going to tread lightly here. Let me let my brain process before I spit this out. The tournament fishing world competitively, large scale, okay, is hurting right now, in my opinion. The tournament fishing world, and I will elaborate on this a little, but don't get me started on my soapbox. I don't want to say something. I don't want to say something out of turn, but the nationally fished trails are struggling right now. They're hurting right now. And there's many reasons that I believe they're hurting. Okay. And this is pure opinion. Pure opinion. I know a lot of guys that fish nationally. I conversate sometimes on a daily basis with a lot of guys that fish nationally. And there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people don't want or don't care to fish a national trail because of the way the industry is changing. I personally don't fish nationally because I have 3 kids and a wife, and they deserve my presence more than any national trail deserves my presence. But something's got to give somewhere. I'm not getting into this LiveScope, no LiveScope thing because I believe if there's electronics out there that anglers can take advantage of, I believe, every angler has that advantage. And if you're going to be a tournament angler, you got to keep up with the times. You got to keep up with what's coming and what's out and what's new. That's part of being a tournament angler is you've got to, sacrifice and have those new products and those abilities and the, things that give you that upper hand, if you will, I guess. But there's still the need, and I see these local trails like East Tennessee Crappie Club, Chattanooga Crappie Club, Eastern Kentucky, or the Yadkin River Trail, or these small clubs that are just isolated, kind of in their bubble, that just have good groups of people that love to help, that love to grow you as a crappie angler, no matter who you are. Okay, that share information, that do things to build you up, to teach you new techniques, to do all these different things. You've never dock shot before? Let me show you. Let me help. That's where crappie fishing was spawned and born, is the brotherhood of the anglers and the excitement for everyone to do good, not just me, not just you, but for everyone to do good. That's the core, and that's traditional, right? That's what I love. That's where I want to be. You guys know me. I love to teach. I love to help. I love to tell you guys how to become better. And I love when you come back and say, "Hey, what you told me worked. I caught more fish than I've ever caught before." That's like everything to me. Okay. So for those of you that have done that, thank you. But there is a lot going on, Mike, and yes, there is a transition off brush piles, and I kind of hope it helps brush piles. I kind of hope that some of these brush piles get a break because they're getting beat to death. You go out on the lake now, you didn't used to see a lot of anglers offshore fishing brush. Now everybody with a LiveScope's offshore fishing brush, and they're getting beat up to death. So anyway, I ran off on a tangent. Like I always do. But hey, that's what makes this show so great. We run off on tangents from time to time. All right. So again, find yourself a local club, find yourself a good group of people that want to build you as a crappie fisherman and help you along the way. And get involved with those people, get involved with those guys and girls, and learn, and it'll help you in the long run, I promise. All right. Thanks, Matt. Going to try them this weekend, hour away from them. Good luck, buddy. James, your audio is going up and down, Matt. Sounds a little better now. Well, hopefully. Let me switch earpieces. Y'all hear me better now? Hopefully. All right. Hopefully that's better. That right earpiece, I have had a couple issues with lately. Hopefully that's better. All right, Anthony, I need a little education from you. What's the difference between longline trolling and pulling crankbaits? Oh, easy. The bait on the end of the rod. All right, the bait on the end of the rod. That's all. That's all it is. That's the only difference. So, long line trolling and pulling crankbaits is basically the same thing, except for on the end of the rod you've got jigs, long line trolling jigs, or you've got crankbaits. Okay, a lot of guys pull crankbaits, or I pull crankbaits differently. A lot of guys pull crankbaits just like they long line troll. They let out a long distance of line, and they've got a crankbait chart. It tells them if you're running this crankbait, this specific crankbait, you let out this much line, it's running this deep. Okay. Long line trolling jigs. I like to tie two 16th ounce jigs if I'm fishing anywhere between 8 and 12 feet. I like 2 16th ounce jigs, particularly a curly tail or an action tail jig, paddle tail, curly tail, one of the two. And you're just making a good solid cast out behind the boat. You know, you're not rearing back with both hands and swinging it like a baseball bat. You're just a good solid cast out behind the boat, setting the rod in the rod holders, and you're letting the trolling motor do the work. The trolling motor does all the work. I like the long line troll somewhere between 0.8 and 1 mile an hour. I like to troll crankbaits. I like to pull crankbaits somewhere between 1 mile an hour and 1.5 mile an hour is typically where I like to pull my crankbaits. Now, when I pull crankbaits, I do so with an inline weight. So I don't have to let a whole lot of line out because I'm using a 2 ounce inline weight where I can drop that jig straight down. It's almost like a downrigger, if you will, where I can drop that jig down, or that crankbait down with that 2 ounce inline weight, and I can pull them that way. But basically, it's kind of the same thing, okay? Pulling crankbaits and longline trolling. Most people who pull crankbaits are making that same long cast out behind the boat, or they've got a line counter reel and they're counting that line as it goes out, okay? But to answer your question, Anthony, longline trolling and pulling crankbaits is done very similarly, okay? It's very similar in how those are done. Yes, his audio fades in and out on me also. Well, hopefully that fixed it. I hope switching out my earpiece fixed it. Sorry about that. Matt, I was watching you fishing today. The firmament tournament. I realized one thing as far as LiveScope. What's that, James? What is that exactly? Kerr Lake, North Carolina. What's going on, Rainer? Slab Happy Lures, Jigs, and Baits. What's going on? Welcome, welcome. Best winter profile bait. Oh, very, 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 very good question. Best winter profile bait. So, again, not again, but first and foremost, I don't like a large bait in the winter. Okay, I do not like a really large bait. I like a small bait. Fish generally, it's just like I explain it like this. Okay, in the summer when it's hot outside, your metabolism's rocking and rolling. You eat more, right? You go outside and get all hot, and you work up a sweat. And you get back inside and cool down. You're hungry. You're ready to eat. So in the summer, the fish's metabolism is a lot higher than in the winter when it's cold. When they're cold, their metabolism is slower. They're processing everything slower, so they don't feed on as big of a bait or don't feed as often as they would in, let's say, the spring and the fall. You know, when they're feeding. And they feed in the summer, obviously, as well. But when it gets real, real hot late summer, they don't feed too well because they get hot and lethargic then as well. But in the winter, when they're lethargic, I like a smaller profile. That 1.75 slim stick is going to be what I'm using this year. What I would do last year, okay, to slim down my profile, there's a couple different things I would do. That is a stump bug with the center paddle tail ripped off. Okay, and what that does is that really slims the bait down because then I just have these two little legs. but I've got the solid body. Okay, so it slims it down a lot. I don't think I have one here that has a tail on it. Yeah, I do. I got a whole bag of them down here. What am I talking about? Let's see. Okay. So, first of all, there's one with the tail on. See how bulky that looks? Take the tail out of the center. See how much more that slims that down? Okay. Looks very slim. Body's a lot smaller just because you take that paddle tail out. It doesn't have that same large profile. That's one way that I would slim that bait down. But this year, I'm going to be using that 175 slim stick right there. That itty bitty bait with that little bitty tail. Just because those fish are looking for that smaller profile. A hair fly is very good in the winter. Just a single hair fly. Something, like a marabou or a calf tail jig or squirrel tail. A lot of guys use a squirrel tail jig. If you can find somebody that ties a squirrel tail, a lot of stuff that you buy anymore is rather cowtail or marabou. But anything that in the water slims down and gives that small profile. James, was watching you fish the tournament today. Congratulations. And I noticed you have your transducer pole set up pretty much directly in front of you. I have mine close, but a little to my right. Okay. I don't think it really matters if your pole is offset of you, as long as you're casting directly down where the transducer is pointing. So if my pole is pointing right over here, I know I need to cast right over here, and I don't cast over there. Okay, so I don't cast here if my pole's pointing there. I cast right there. So you've got to make sure that you got to be a good caster. That's one thing with LiveScope is you have to be a good caster. If you can't look down at the pole or look at your trolling motor and say, okay, it's at 2:00 or it's at 2:30 or it's at 2:43, you got to put that jig right in front of that transducer to be successful with LiveScope. You've got to be a good caster. So for those of you that want to get better at your LiveScope, practice your casting. Make sure that you can tell exactly where that transducer is pointing. Make sure you have some kind of directional beacon on your LiveScope or on your trolling motor to where you can see where exactly that transducer is pointing so you can make a good cast. Okay. Let's see here. Didn't mean to strike a nerve. Oh, you didn't strike a nerve. No, not at all. You didn't strike a nerve at all. Let's see here. That's why I'm at East Tennessee Crappie Club to learn. You guys are great. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. You're not so bad yourself. Rick, do you peg the weight when pulling a crankbait? No, I do not. My weights have a swivel on top and a swivel on bottom. So I've got my 2-ounce inline weight. On this side is a swivel, and on this side is a swivel, and I tie line directly to the top and the bottom of it. So no, I don't peg anything. Dusky and shallow and dirty ponds, what works best for crappie from color to bait? Dirty ponds, black and chartreuse. I would go black and chartreuse in any color, first and foremost. But dirty water, black and chartreuse. If it's real dirty, like real dirty, You can go to a pink or an orange in chartreuse. Pink and chartreuse, orange and chartreuse show up good in dirty water, but I would go black and chartreuse if it's real, real dirty. What's up, Steve? I don't peg it, but between the inline weight, well, I have one laying right down here. Let me just grab it. Hang on. All right, so there's my inline weight. Okay, 2-ounce inline with a swivel. Okay, that one's only got one swivel, not two. But and then I put about 3 foot a leader below it. So 2-ounce inline, swivel, tie the main line to the top of the swivel, about a 3 foot leader down to the crankbait. All right, that's how I do it. And I tie my line directly to my crankbait. No swivel on the crankbait, or no snap swivel. Just straight to line, straight to the crankbait. I've been looking for that Phil Stealth bobber. Do you have a website you order from? Well, Eric, unfortunately, that Phil Stealth bobber was discontinued. So I have a new bobber that I'm looking at that I'm actually going to show you guys, do a video for you guys when I get some in. But I have been looking at a new float, and hopefully I'll have some of those in shortly. As a matter of fact, you reminded me that I need to get back in touch with them and see if I can't work something out with them to get some down here so that you guys can see them, because they are a small company, very unknown, but very, very good product. I don't want to give too much away because it's going to come out in the video, but they're a really great product and really great float. So looking forward to showing you guys that. Hopefully I'll have something very soon. But that Phil Stealth bobber is discontinued, and I'm looking at one right over there on my desk. But I think I've got 3 left, and that's all I have left. So I'm kind of searching for a new float too, buddy. Chris asked, too bad I'm not going to make it to Loudon this weekend. I'll be missing the action. I figured I'd give y'all a shout or a shot at winning. But I am looking forward to January with a boat that works. I hope. Yeah, I hear you, Chris. I hear you. I hear it. It's Chris talking smack. Look at him. He's talking smack. He says he's going to give us a chance to win one. You know what I mean? James, thanks, Matt. Love to watch you fish and these live streams. Learned a lot from you, sir. Your down to earth fish sense is awesome. Well, I appreciate that, James. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for the kind words. As always, it's a blessing and awesome to get to talk to you guys and have these lives and get to interact with you guys, because, you know, videos are great in my opinion, but these lives are personal. And I love this personal interaction between my subscribers and myself. It's a lot of fun, and you guys put me on the spot a lot, so it keeps me going. I always look forward to these lives. I always hate when I miss them. There was a period of time where I never missed one, and then it's gotten so busy around Wired House. I mean, with the kids and boats and guide trips and wired marine electronics, and it's gotten really busy. So I do miss some here and there, and I apologize. I try not to. I promise. I try not to. But I love our time, and I love to be able to just be personal with you guys and just tell you guys kind of how I feel. You know, I feel like there's going to have to be a shift within fishing in general, especially on the upper tier, or the upper echelon, if you will, of those tournament. It's just something's got to give, and eventually it will. Eventually, there's going to be a lot of people that there's still an older generation. There's the older generation, and then there's the younger generation that are fishing, and there's not a whole lot in between. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how everything works out in the next 5-10 years. they'll continue to go on, but I would love to see some things change. Without getting into a whole lot of it. Again, I'm not up to the newest trends and following those, so I'm not a big trend follower. But you know, there'll be some changes. Hopefully, they'll be for the better and not for the worst. All right, let's see here. Oh, Ronnie Harris. Did you get the new seat stand put together? Yes. Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, got the new seats in. Right there they are. And absolutely love those. Should have talked a little bit more about them. They were simple to put together. The feet on those was a little weird putting the feet on. I will say that. They could make a little bit better design as far as putting the feet on, because you kind of had to get the bolt through the inside of the foot, and it was a little bit weird. You can see right down here in the bottom, there's a couple holes. You see those two holes. You got to put an Allen wrench through those holes to tighten the screw on the other side. So it's a little weird, but I love them. I mean, we fished out of them on both guide trips. I did not fish out of them, but my guide trips fished out of them. And one thing that I am going to have to do is when you're sitting in the seat, okay, when you're sitting in the seat, what I would call my driver's seat, is I've got my fishing specialties pole right here. I've got my mount for my fishing specialties pole right there. And when I have that pole in, I like to sit on the right-hand side of the boat. I'm right-handed, so I like to sit on the right-hand side of the boat and work my fishing specialties pole with my right hand. So my fishing specialties pole is set up for me to be standing in the boat. And when I'm sitting in a sitting position like I am right here, that fishing specialties pole is literally kind of up here in my face because I'm used to standing up. So I'm going to have to probably move that. Probably have to adjust it so that it's a little lower. So the handle is a little lower. The handle that I have on my original fishing specialties pole, which is right here, is a 18-inch handle. For the sake of not digging it out, I'm probably not going to dig it out right now, but it's an 18-inch handle, which is not collapsible. The one right there is actually collapsible. Let me show you. All right. So it actually has an extendable handle on it that extends in and out on that side. Okay. With that extendable handle will slide in and it's not that bad. But on this side with that 18-inch handle, it doesn't like being out of my face. So I'm probably going to have to adjust that pole a little bit. But other than that, I absolutely love the double seat. I talked to somebody, one of my buddies called me and said, "Hey, how do you like your double seat?" I said, "Well, actually, I love it." I said, I was on the water 8 hours today, and this was the other day. I was on that water 8 hours, fished 8 hours, and I feel like I could go fish another 8. To whereas fishing 8 hours standing up, I was dog tired. I was ready to just keel over. So it will keep me on the water a lot longer. You guys are probably going to get to see me sit down a little bit more. Hope you guys don't mind, because I'm going to be a lazy fisherman now. Oh, that crappie fishermen are lazy, and I'm going to be a lazy crappie fisherman. So yeah, it's nice. It really is. I enjoy it. I like it a lot. And I thought that it would be a little tighter up front, but I have a very large deck on this Ranger 690. And with each one of them slid over to the very edge, because that's how I set them up. I wanted them as far apart as I could get them. It's really not crowded. I mean, I sat down on one of my guide trips beside one of my clients, and I was sitting there talking to him, kind of showing him how to use his LiveScope. When we first got on the water, I was sitting there showing him, and I didn't feel like I was close enough to him. Actually, I felt like I was far away. So that was nice too. I mean, when I sat down and I'm like, hey, I'm not right on top of him. I thought I would be, but I'm not. It's just plenty of room here. So that's great. I like a lot of room on the deck, and I still feel like I have a lot of room. So it was very nice. Very nice. Let's see. Looks good. I've got a set put together for my Stratus. You'll love them. I mean, you really will. Paul, what is the one thing as a crappie fisherman we can do to make our lakes better for crappie fishing? Structure. Um, structure helps. You know, people ask me all the time, can you put too much structure in a lake? Well, you can put too much structure in an area and mess up an area, because look at it like this. If you have a creek, you have one brush pile in that creek, then all those crappie that are in that creek have to find structure, and they're going to be on the one brush pile. Now, some people will say, yeah, Matt, but if you have 20 brush piles in that creek, there may be more crappie in that creek. You may have 30 on that one, 30 on that one, 30 on that one, 30 on that one, 30 on that one. True, you may. But also, there's resident fish, what I like to call resident fish. And those resident fish are fish that are in that creek year round, no matter what time of year it is. That's just where they live. They're resident fish. And those resident fish, if you spread those resident fish over 45 brush piles, you may have 3 on each brush pile. Where if you spread them over 10 brush piles, you may have 15 or 20 on each brush pile. You know what I mean? So again, it's kind of one of those things where if you don't have the structure, you won't hold the fish or have the fish. Fish need structure to spawn. Most of the time, what we could do as crappie fishermen to help the population or help the lakes be better is shallow structure that they can spawn in, especially white crappie. White crappie like wood. They like shallow structures, shallow wood structures to spawn. Give those crappie someplace to spawn, and they'll produce more crappie. Those larger age class crappie, give them a chance to spawn. You know, if you're looking to eat crappie, guys, go out there and catch a bunch of 10, 11, 12-inch fish and let them hit the grease. You know what I'm saying? But if you catch those 13, 14, 15-inch fish, throw them jokers back. I mean, one of those fish produces is some stupid number. It's like 100,000 eggs or something like that, or 80,000 eggs. You know, one of those mature female crappie. So, you know, throw them back, let them live, let them spawn, and you'll have more fish. You know, that one fish that you could keep and eat could produce 80,000 more. You know what I mean? So 2 fillets or 160,000 fillets. That's pretty easy. I know where I'm picking. You know what I mean? So let some of them big fish go. Be mindful of the resource. I'm not telling anybody not to keep fish. Don't shoot me down when I'm preaching good. Don't cuss me in the comments. I will delete it. But you know, just be mindful. Be mindful of the resource. And I think the crappie population. Once crappie are in a lake, I don't think you can get rid of them. To be honest with you, but that's my opinion. James, I'm 60 years old. No way could stand and fish now. Back problems, shoulders, knees, golden years, not that golden. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. I'm starting to feel it too. That's one thing that I always thought that I'd stand and fish forever. But I'm liking this sitting down thing. There's no doubt about it. I'm sitting down in them right now, and I got my feet kicked up. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I'm just saying, I kind of like it. It's nice. It's very nice. Slab Happy Lures said, "Ask." I'm gonna go back down here because I feel like I'm shaking you guys to death. Trying to hold this thing up. All right, let's get you back down here. Hey, there we go. Better. Oh yeah. All right, ask Ray Pratt. Yeah, Ray Pratt puts more brush in the lake than anybody known to man. He doesn't go to the lake without putting something in it. He takes a chainsaw, cuts trees down. Keep mixed bags. Keep as many smalls as bigs. Not all small crappie or not all big crappie. That's a good rule of thumb. I mean, and those real big crappie, let them jokers go. Let them swim. Let them spawn. Let them do their thing. We'll have crappie for years and years to come. I added 2 additional seat bases on the front deck of my Fisher. No bars to trip over between the seats. Yeah, I thought about doing that, but I have compartments, Jeff. I have compartments on the sides of my deck that are up there because I have a deep V, so I have compartments, and I couldn't put additional seat bases in there without cutting holes in the compartment lids, and I didn't want to do that. So that was the best option for my boat, but everybody's boat's a little different. If you have a deck that doesn't have any compartments up front, then yeah, sure, absolutely. Cut a hole and mount a base. You're good to go. About the brush. Ask him about the brush. Yeah, he likes the brush. There's no doubt about that. All right, so we've been on a little over an hour. To the bottom of the comments, I'm going to call it a night. I hope you guys have enjoyed the live. I know I have. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thank you again for all y'all do for the channel. We are going to film this weekend at the tournament, at the Loudon tournament. I will film that, try to get that edited for you guys to get out right after the tournament. Wish us luck. Hope that we do well there. Gonna try. Have not been on Loudon. Hadn't been to the lake. Like I said, this last weekend, went to Watts Bar and Tellico. Did not get on Loudon. So, Eric, you're welcome. But hopefully, we'll be able to get out there and find some fish. I didn't get out on Cherokee, and we did okay there. So, we'll see how we do on Loudon without getting out on Loudon. So, as always, God bless. I appreciate you guys. We'll catch you on the next one next week, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock. And as always, I hope you guys have a great week. Okay. If you have any comments or any questions after this live, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll get back with you. I do check the comments on the lives after the live shows. I always get notifications when you guys comment on videos. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please put a comment on the live after the show, and I will get to you, and I will answer it eventually. Okay. Thank you guys again. Have a good night, and we'll catch you on the next one.